The laws of human nature. Law number 1. Master your emotional self, the law of irrationality. To achieve our potential, we need to learn how we are irrational and reactive to the world. Ask yourself, where do your irrational drives come from? We can be rational and increase our chances of success by becoming more rational. The longer you can resist reacting, the more mental space for actual reflection. Law number 2. Transform self-love into empathy, the law of narcissism. According to Greene, we are all a bit narcissistic. But the goal is to move to a healthy narcissism by being honest with your self-absorption. Healthy narcissists are driven and focus their drive outward. They incorporate feedback and recover quickly from failures and setbacks. Law number 3. See through people's mask, the law of role-playing. Humans are consummate actors. We all wear a mask and we all learn how to lie. However, it's not always easy to hide our true natures. We hide our negative feelings, such as superiority or insecurity. Acting completely honest would result in social ruin. We would offend people and open ourselves up to so much judgment and insecurity it would affect our mental health. Law number 4. Determine the strength of people's character, the law of compulsive behavior. Character is a primary value when evaluating people to work for or partnering with. Their characters matter more than their charm, intelligence, or charisma. Strong characters stem from a feeling of personal security and self-worth. Try to test people's character by making a joke, criticizing them, or giving them a challenging task, and associate only with strong characters. Robert Greene says that we all have a rather strong and set character by our genes in childhood. We need to learn how we are wired, and then we will have a certain control to smooth our edges. Law number 5. Become an elusive object of desire, the law of covetousness. Instead of focusing on what you want, focus on what others want, on their repressed desires and fantasies. What you offer should be new, unfamiliar, and exotic. Law number 6. Elevate your perspective, the law of short-sightedness. Keep along irrespective, avoid being pulled by new trends and new shining objects. Stick with what you start and prioritize based on your long-term goals. Law number 7. Soften people's resistance by confirming their self-opinion, the law of defensiveness. To influence people, Robert Greene recommends you stop trying to push them. Instead, take a step back and assume an inferiority position. Ask them for advice, make them feel good. Don't remind them of the favors you have done for them in the past. It doesn't make them feel grateful, it reminds them of their dependence on others, and we want to feel independent. Instead, remind them of what they've done for you in the past. Confirm their self-opinion as good people. Make others the focus of attention. Law number 8. Change your circumstance by changing your attitude, the law of self-sabotage. You are not a pawn, you are an active player. Mind and body are one, and one influence the other. Don't see yourself as limited by birth. Think that you can grow and improve. Law number 9. Confront your dark side, the law of repression. We all have a masked dark side, but denying and hiding it causes a whole host of problems. Depression and anxiety come from not being our true selves. We internalize all the ideals of our culture, such as being nice and having pro-social values, which are often necessary for the smooth functioning of our society. Law number 10. Beware the fragile ego, the law of envy. We always compare with one another, and it rarely leads to good results for us. Learn to develop your self-confidence from internal sources instead of comparisons. No one wants to consciously acknowledge envy because it would necessitate feelings of inferiority. To want something someone else has, we have to admit that the other person has it, which makes them superior. As a result, envy is rarely expressed as envy. If you're envious of someone, on the other hand, you'll transform this feeling into something else. Law number 11, know your limits, law of grandiosity. We all have a need to feel superior to others. But the more successful we get, the more superior we feel, and that creates a disconnect with reality that can easily become our downfall. Grandiosity is our natural tendency to inflate our self-image and assume that we're significantly more skilled than we actually are. We do this by, among other things, assuming that we single-handedly achieved success and that our skills are transferable. Law number 12. Reconnect to the masculine, feminine within you, law of gender rigidity. Greene says that we all tend towards the feminine or masculine, but we have both. When people go too far in repressing their opposite gender within them, they will leak out in a caricature form. And it's often the people with internal conflicts who lean too strongly towards one gender while trying to suppress the other. Greene says that the hostility towards the opposite gender is stronger in men. Everyone has both masculine and feminine traits that come from two sources: genetics and the influence of our parents. Gender roles create psychological distance between the sexes, and sometimes this difference is so vast it makes people of different genders seem incomprehensible. Law number 13. Advance with a sense of purpose, the law of aimlessness. Greene invites the younger readers to explore and try different things to find their passion and purpose. The biggest obstacle you will face in pursuing your purpose is those drudging moments of difficulties, pain, and boredom. Greene says you should learn to get into flow, and once you experience it, you will become addicted and always want to come back to it. Law number 14. Resist the downward pull of the group, the law of conformity. We are attracted to groups, and we also have an urgent need to fit in. We like to tell ourselves we are independent, but we are not. The people around exert pressure on us, and instead of denying it, we should leverage it. Differences among groups are often exaggerated to create stronger feelings, out-group, in-group, and of similarity among the members. Don't fall for the tendency of denigrating your enemy. See him for who he is, and learn from what he does better. No matter how highly we think of our individuality, social force and group dynamics affect us all. Law number 15. Make them want to follow you, the law of fickleness. Leadership is always built on a dichotomy, Greene says. On one side, people want to be lead and they look up to a great and strong leader, but, at the same time, they resent him. They resent his position, the power he has, and the power he has over them. People in power see only the smiles, and they mistake it for unending approval. Law number 16. See the hostility behind the friendly facade, the law of aggression. Our culture, civilization, and society tend to repress our most aggressive instincts. But we all have it. Aggressive people tend to obsess over the objects of people, which is a sign they want to swallow them whole. Take stock of physical obsessions, like anger in being overtaken or always wanting to be front and center. Fight the aggressive types indirectly. Avoid making them feel not in control, which is their greatest fear. Like envy, aggression is an emotion no one wants to admit to having. Law number 17. Seize the historical moment, the law of generational myopia. Every generation has its spirit, its peculiarities. The generation you are born into shapes the way you are, and presents unique opportunities for you. Greene recommends you don't go completely against the grain or you will end up isolated and in troubles. Instead, it's best to redirect the flow of your generation. Law number 18. Meditate on our common mortality, the law of death denial. We all try to avoid thoughts of death. Death is there, whether you like it or not. Greene invites the readers to use and leverage reality rather than trying to fight it or forget it. Meditate on your death so that you will make the most about your time, instilling a sense of urgency in your purpose and goals. Similarly, when we don't repress death, we actually feel more alive,